So you wanna be a picture book writer, then you gotta write picture books. And you're gonna need a bucket load of bright ideas for titles, plots, and hooks. If you're partial to prose or you're raring to rhyme, then repeat after me. It's a challenge, but I'm gonna tackle each story 1 month at a time with 12 by 12.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our May book chat. We are so excited to have with us tonight Rajani LaRocca. Rajani is the author of all of these books that you see here, none of which we're going to talk about tonight because we're talking about her latest picture book release called I'll Go and Come Back. But she was born in Bangalore, India, and immigrated with her parents to the US when she was a baby. She went to Harvard Medical School and became a physician and is still practicing. I still find that just absolutely mind-blowing. She has won many, many awards for her books, most recently and most notably a Newbery honor for her middle grade novel in verse, Red, White, and Whole. If you have not read this book, after the chat tonight, you need to stop whatever you're doing and get a copy of this book. It's incredible, and we are so excited for her. The same book also won the Walter Dean Myers Award, Golden Kite, and the New England Book Award, among many others. And her picture books almost universally have received starred reviews, been Indie Next picks. A couple of them have won the Massachusetts Book Award, a Charlotte Zolotow honor, and the Mathical Award for a couple of them, and too many others to name. So in short, she is a highly decorated and prolific author, but most of all, to me, Rajani is just an amazing, warm, and generous person with a dazzling amount of talent, which she is generous enough to share with the community. So with that, please help me welcome Rajani.
Oh, hi, everyone. Hi, Julie. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, what we're going to do now is she's going to read her latest picture book, I'll Go and Come Back.
Okay. I'll Go and Come Back, written by me and illustrated by Sarah Palacios. For the first time since I was a baby, I flew across the world to see aunties and uncles, cousin brothers and cousin sisters, and Sita Pati. But India was so different from home. The sky thundered and poured through the humid air. Mosquitoes whined when I tried to sleep. Street dogs woke me at dawn. Trucks honked and children chattered and neighbors gossiped on crowded roads. Everyone stared. In the morning and evening, the house was packed with relatives and friends. But during the day, with my cousins at school, I was lonely. I wanted to go home. Then Sita Pati called me. Jyoti, Vama. She didn't speak much English, and I didn't speak much Tamil, but we understood each other. Bath? She asked. Teeth? All finished, I said. And then I tried the Tamil. Yella achi. She laughed and took my hand. Rangoli, said Sita Pati. We made designs in the courtyard with colored sand, bright pink and sparkling blue and dazzling gold. She dressed me in the same colors and tucked strands of jasmine in my hair. She took me to the market. I'd never seen so many types of vegetables. One looked like it could slither away. Padaval, said Sita Pati. Snake gourd. Let's get okra instead, I said. At home, we played a game called Palanguri. Sometimes Pati counted wrong. She liked to win. Sita Pati made chapat and flipped them with bare fingers. I ate one with spicy okra and cool yogurt rice. We spent our days playing and reading and cooking. At night, we sipped warm milk with saffron to bring us sweet dreams. When it was time to go home, I didn't want to. I held Pati's hand with its soft skin. Her sari rustled and smelled of silk. Goodbye, I said. Hoitu varia? Asked Sita Pati. Will you go and come? And I remembered that no one in India just said goodbye. I'll go and come back, I said. Hoitu vare.
You've actually written more than one book on this topic of going to visit a grandparent. And this is the other one for those of you who haven't read it, 2 different publishers. And so not only did you have to work to make this book unique and fresh enough to be sold, but different enough from your own book. Clearly, this is a passion subject for you. But how did these books get sold? Did one come before the other? And did you have to address that when you were submitting and all of that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to share one more thing with you.
Sure.
Okay. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So that little weird drawing on the left is literally how I thought up this story. In sari, there is always like a main body of the sari and a border. And a lot of times the color from the sari is picked up in the border and vice versa. And so I literally was in line getting lunch with some writer friends at a writing conference. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have an idea. And I drew this little sketch. So I'll Go and Come Back was always a mirror story to me. And it was about a girl, and I literally said me in India, and then Pati in the US. And I wanted to think about the parallels of things that were different and things that were the same. And here, if you can look on the right, this is a picture of me with my grandma. I was older. I was not a little girl. I was 13. And here she was visiting, and we were clearly opening Christmas presents, which is hilarious. But so this was inspired by my own grandmother. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. So this story was one of the very first picture books that I ever drafted. I think that first idea came to me in 2013. And this was always a heart story for me. And I used it as a filter. It took me a lot of revisions to figure out what I was doing with it. But when I was querying agents, if they didn't like this story, they were not for me. I was like, if you don't get this story, you don't get me. And I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I didn't query it extensively, but when I did and I got interest based on this story, I was like, okay, this is something to keep in mind. And so this story came first. And interestingly, it is the first book we ever sold. We sold it at auction to Candlewick this is going to be freaky, March 29th of 2018. And it published exactly 4 years later, March 29th of 2022. I don't know. It's freaky. It's a little bit strange.
I think maybe you need to buy a lottery ticket on March 29th from now on.
So yeah, so this was in the works way before anything else sold. And now Where Three Oceans Meet, which is about a girl and her mother and her grandmother who travel to the very tip of India where they say 3 oceans meet, a place called Kanyakumari. And there is a metaphor there between the 3 oceans and the 3 people. And there are a lot of threes that are repeated in that book. I thought maybe that it might be related to this story, but maybe not. And the interesting thing about that story is I wrote it much later. I wrote it in 2018. And it felt like a different story because instead of like a mirror image story, it was a 3 story. So it's clearly about a girl, and there's a grandmother and a girl in it, but there's also a mom. So it felt much more like a mother-daughter story than a grandmother story, but they do go together. And clearly the child in this story in Where Three Oceans Meet is also living in the US, and that's part of what is going on, and it's mentioned, but the entire journey is in India. And that story ended up being acquired by Abrams Books in December 2018. And Archana Srinivasan is the illustrator for that. And she's just incredible. Yeah. And that was and then they published it and it came out in 2021. So who even knows what can happen in publishing?
So, yeah. But when you were submitting this, did you feel like you had to tell the publisher that you had another granddaughter visit to India book coming? Okay.
Yep. And it didn't matter.
They're very different books. That's what's so interesting about it. But given how one of the common rejections people get is, oh, we already have a book similar to this on our list, but then you're coming from the same author even. Yeah.
Yes.
But that is amazing. And again, the uniqueness in the way the approach. And not surprisingly, I consider your answer to that question a little scientific, right? You've got a mirror, like this is the basic structure and framework of this story. And then the other one is threes. And you're right, that does come up a lot. So that there's hidden math in here, I guess, even when you're not trying to write a math story.
Do it together so never you fear. It's a handy little way to help you kick into gear. You're amazing, exciting. Look out, 'cause you're writing 12 by 12.
12 manuscripts.
12 by 12.
12 picture books.
12 by 12